नमस्ते बिटिया, हमेशा खुश रहिए। माई सेल्फ JVN नेहा सैनी फ्रॉम फिजियोथेरेपी एंड डायग्नोस्टिक्स, ज्योति विद्यापीठ वुमेंस यूनिवर्सिटी. Today I will tell you about the anatomy of the knee joint. Knee joint is formed by three bones and there are three articulations. The femorotibial articulation. This articulation lies between the two femoral condyles and the upper surface of the two tibial condyles. Then the type of this joint is a modified variety of hinge under the synovial type of joint. Then the second articulation in this joint is femoropatellar articulation. That is, this articulation lies between the posterior surface of patella and the patellar surface of femur. And the type over here is plain variety of synovial type of joint. Then, so here we can say that the knee joint is the largest and most complicated joint of the human body. And there are three joints in a single synovial cavity. That is the medial condylar joint, which is lying between the medial condyle of femur and the medial condyle of tibia. The lateral condylar joint, which is lying between the lateral condyle of femur and lateral condyle of tibia. And the patellofemoral joint, which is lying between patella and the patellar surface of femur. So here we can see the patella, the lower end of femur and the upper end of tibia, and the three articulations, the medial, the lateral, and this in the middle, that is the patella and the femur. So there are three articulations at this joint. The knee joint is supported by the following ligaments. So these are the structures which are keeping the knee joint in position. That is the fibrous capsule, the ligamentum patelli, the tibial collateral, or we can say the medial ligament, the fibular collateral, or we can say the lateral ligament, the oblique popliteal ligament, arcuate popliteal ligament, anterior cruciate ligament, posterior cruciate ligament, medial meniscus, lateral meniscus, and the transverse ligament. These are the supporting ligaments of the knee. So here we discuss about the attachments of these ligaments. First we have the fibrous capsule. It has two attachments, that is on the femur and the tibia. So first the femoral attachment. Anteriorly it is deficient and on the posterior side it is attached on the intercondylar ridge. Intercondylar ridge lies between the two femoral condyles. Laterally it encloses the origin of popliteus muscle. So these are the femoral attachments. On the tibia, anteriorly it descends to the tibial tuberosity along the margins of the condyles, and posteriorly it is attached to the intercondylar ridge. Posterolaterally it gives passage to the popliteus muscle. So here we can see the fibrous capsule on the posterior as well as on the anterior aspect. On the posterior aspect, the fibrous capsule is deficient on the tibial side because it is giving passage to the popliteus muscle. So this is the popliteus muscle. Here the fibrous capsule is deficient, and anteriorly the fibrous capsule is deficient on the anterior aspect of tibia because of this patellar ligament. So this is the patellar ligament. Then the weak capsular ligament is strengthened by, on the anterior side, by medial and lateral patellar retinocula. These patellar retinocula are the extensions of vastus medialis muscle and the vastus lateralis muscle. These muscles are the muscles of the front of the thigh. And laterally, it is supported by the iliotibial tract. Iliotibial tract is the modification of deep fascia of the thigh. Deep fascia of thigh is fascia lata, and posteriorly by the oblique popliteal ligament, and medially by the tendon of sartorius and semimembranosus muscles. Then The second ligament of the knee joint is the ligamentum patelli. Attachments. Above, it is attached on the rough posterior margins of the apex of patella, and below it is attached to the tibial tuberosity. As we have seen in the previous image, it is related to the deep and the superficial infrapatellar bursa, infrapatellar pad of fat. So here we can see the ligamentum patelli. This is the ligamentum patelli or patellar tendon, and it is attached from the apex of patella up to the tibial tuberosity. Then tibial collateral or medial ligament. This is a long band of great strength, and it is attached superiorly on the medial epicondyle of femur and inferiorly on the anterior part and the posterior part. The anterior part gives attachment on the medial border and posterior part of medial surface of shaft of tibia, and the posterior part of this ligament is attached on the medial condyle of tibia above the groove for semimembranosus, this semitendinosus muscle, and then it blends with the medial meniscus and the capsule, the fibrous capsule of the knee joint. So this is the tibial collateral or medial collateral ligament. As we can see in the diagram, this is the medial collateral or tibial collateral ligament. Then the next is fibular collateral, or we can say the lateral ligament. It is also a strong and cord-like ligament and is attached superiorly on the lateral epicondyle of femur above the popliteal groove and inferiorly to the head of fibula in front of its apex. It is separated from lateral meniscus from the capsule and tendon of popliteus. In the diagram we can see the lateral collateral, or we can say fibular collateral ligament on the lateral aspect of the knee. Then oblique popliteal ligament. This ligament is an expansion of the semimembranosus muscle which runs upwards and laterally. It is attached to the intercondylar line and lateral condyle of femur. It has a close relation with the popliteal artery. So here we can see the oblique popliteal ligament. This is the oblique popliteal ligament, and it is the part of semimembranosus muscle. Then the arcuate ligament. The fibers are oriented in various directions. It is a Y-shaped configuration over the popliteus muscle. Here we can see in the diagram the Y-shaped configuration of the arcuate ligament. This is the arcuate ligament. It is having the Y-shaped configuration, and the medial limb of this ligament terminates into the oblique popliteal ligament. This is the oblique popliteal ligament. Here where the medial limb is terminating, and the lateral limb is invariable and it is less distinct. Then the anterior and posterior cruciate ligaments. In the interior of the joint capsule, we will find the two cruciate ligaments. Cruciate means the cross, capital X. So these ligaments are oriented in cross. They are very strong and thick fibrous bands. They act directly to maintain the antero-posterior stability of the knee joint. These are the cruciate ligaments. So this is the superior view of the condyles of the tibia. Here we can see the cruciate ligaments. On the anterior side, anterior cruciate ligament, and posteriorly we have posterior cruciate ligaments. This is again showing you the anterior and the posterior cruciate ligaments. These are the intracapsular ligament, means these are lying inside the fibrous capsule. The anterior cruciate ligament is attached to the anterior intercondylar area of the tibia. It is passing upwards, backwards and laterally to get attached on the lateral femoral condyle and prevents posterior displacement of femur with knee joint flexed. The anterior cruciate ligament prevents the tibia from being pulled anteriorly. So you can learn like in this way: anterior cruciate ligament prevents the posterior displacement of femur. And the attachment can be learned by this mnemonic, that is LAMP, lamp. Lamp means on the lateral condyle of femur we have attachment of anterior cruciate ligament. On the medial condyle of femur we have attachment of posterior cruciate ligament. And the action is opposite. In relation to femur, the anterior cruciate ligament prevents the posterior displacement of femur. So here we can see the anterior cruciate ligament prevents the posterior displacement of femur. Then in the case of posterior cruciate ligament, all things are opposite, like it is attached to the posterior part of the intercondylar area of the tibia and it is passing upwards, forwards and medially to get attached on the anterior part of lateral surface of medial femoral condyle, LAMP, and it prevents anterior displacement. It is posterior cruciate ligament and it is preventing anterior displacement of the femur. So next supporting structure for the knee is the meniscus. These are also known as semi-lunar cartilages because of their appearance. Medial and lateral meniscus, these are two capital C-shaped sheets of fibrocartilage which is lying between the tibia and the femoral condyle. So capital C-shaped structures, these are the meniscus, and they are having peripheral border which is thick and it is attached to the capsule, the fibrous capsule, and vascular. Their inner border is thin and forms a free edge and it is avascular. Each meniscus is attached to the upper surface of the tibia by anterior and the posterior ends. So we can say these menisci having two ends, that is anterior and the posterior end, and two borders, outer and the inner border, and two surfaces, superior and the inferior surface. They are connected to each other by transverse ligament and to the margins of the head of tibia by coronary ligaments. The margins of these menisci are attached to the tibia with the help of coronary ligament and their ends are connected to each other by the transverse ligament. So here we can see the cruciate ligaments having two horns, two ends, that is anterior and the posterior, two surfaces, superior and inferior, and two borders, outer and inner border. This is the outer border and this is the inner border. This is the anterior hand, this is posterior arm, and two surfaces. This is superior surface and other one which is lying in contact with the tibia, that is the inferior surface. So there are some differences in between these two menisci. In case of medial meniscus, the medial meniscus is semicircular in structure while lateral is nearly circular, and the posterior fibers of anterior end continues with the transverse ligament while the posterior end of the meniscus is attached to the femur through two meniscofemoral ligament. The peripheral part attached with the deep part of tibial collateral ligament in case of medial meniscus, and in case of lateral meniscus, medial part of tendon of popliteus attached to lateral meniscus. What are the functions of these menisci? The one is they make the articular surfaces more congruent, more articulable. They act as shock absorbers. They lubricate the joint cavity. They give rise to proprioceptive impulses due to their nerve supply. Then the transverse ligament. Here we can see the transverse ligament. This is the transverse ligament. It connects the anterior ends of the medial and the lateral menisci. Then these were the supporting structures, the ligaments of the knee joint. Then we have the synovial membrane. Synovial membrane lines the capsule except posteriorly, where it projects forward to enclose the sides of cruciate ligaments, and in front above the patella it is prolonged to form suprapatellar bursa. So bursa is the extension of the synovial membrane. Below it covers the deep surface of the infrapatellar fatty pad and a median fold, the infrapatellar synovial fold, extend backwards from fatty pad to intercondylar fossa of femur. So in this diagram we can see the reddish color area. This is depicting the synovial membrane. Here we can see the synovial membrane is lying on the internal surface of the fibrous capsule, and the cruciate ligaments, these are outside the synovial membrane but inside the fibrous capsule. Then the bursae around the knee. There are 12 bursae around the knee joint, 4 on the anterior side, 4 on the lateral and 4 on the medial side. So these are the bursae around the knee. Suprapatellar bursa lying above the patella. Then we have two infrapatellar bursa, that is, one is deep and other is subcutaneous infrapatellar bursa, and one bursa is lying in front of the patella, that is prepatellar bursa. Then the knee movements. The main movements of the knee joint are only two, that is flexion and the extension. Along with these, there are two conjunct movements are also there, medial and the lateral rotation. The flexion and the extension are take place in upper compartment of the joint. Upper compartment means a compartment between the meniscus and the femoral condyle. This is the upper compartment. So the flexion, it is done by biceps femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranosus, gracilis, sartorius and popliteus. Flexion is limited by the contact of back of the leg with the thigh. Extension is done by the quadriceps femoris, tensor fasciae lata muscle. Extension is limited by the tension of all the ligaments of the joint. So these are the two movements of the knee, flexion and the extension. Now rotatory movements at the knee take place in the lower compartment around the vertical axis. Lower compartment means the compartment between the meniscus and the tibia. Medial rotation is done by semitendinosus, semimembranosus, popliteus, gracilis and sartorius, and lateral rotation is done by the biceps femoris. So locking and unlocking. Locking is a mechanism that allows the knee to remain in the position of full extension. Unlocking occurs as a result of medial rotation of the femur during last stage of extension. So at the last stage of extension, before all ligaments of the knee joint become taut, there is locking. Locking means medial rotation. When you lock your key, when you use your key to lock your any structure in the room, how could you move your hand? You just medially rotate your hand. So this medial rotation is locking, and locking is produced by the quadriceps femoris muscle in case of knee joint. Unlocking means opening something. So unlocking, how could you move your hand? During unlocking your lock, you move laterally on the lateral side. You move your hand on the lateral side. So unlocking means lateral rotation of the femur, and unlocking is produced by the popliteus muscle. So unlocking muscle of the knee joint is popliteus and locking muscle is quadriceps femoris. So these are the two mechanisms which are depicted over here, that is medial rotation is occurring by the quadriceps femoris and lateral rotation is done by the popliteus muscle. Now the innervation, that is the nerve supply of the knee joint. It is supplied by the femoral nerve of the anterior compartment. It is supplied by the common peroneal nerve. Then it is supplied by the posterior division of occipital nerve. Means all the nerves of the thigh are supplying to the knee joint. Then blood supply is by the popliteal artery, femoral and the tibial arteries. Now the clinical anatomy. First is the osteoarthritis. It is a chronic inflammation which is due to the progressive softening and destruction of the articular cartilage accompanied by new growth of cartilage. and bone at the joint margins, that is osteophytes. It is leading to bone exposure and severe pain. Osteoarthritis is the most common joint disease. The knee joint is the most common site of the osteoarthritis. So here we can see the degenerative osteoarthritis where the cartilage is worn away during old age and there is formation of bony spurs. The risk factors of osteoarthritis is age, obesity and family. So in the X-ray finding we can see the bony spur in the joint cavity. Now second is the Q angle of the knee. It is an angle which is formed by the two intersecting lines which is extending from anterior superior leg spine up to the mid of patella. So anterior superior leg spine, this is the anterior, suppose this is the anterior superior leg spine and this is the patella and this is the midpoint of patella. So this is the one line. Other line is from mid of patella up to the tibial tuberosity. So this is, suppose this is the tibial tuberosity and this is the mid of patella. So another line is from this. So this is the angle which is known as Q angle. And this angle is more in case of females because of the wider pelvis, that is from 10 to 19 degree, and in case of male it is from 10 to 15 degree. If this angle increases because of any cause, it causes the genu valgum, that is knock knee. In this case, both the knees are towards the midline. When this angle increases, this is causing genu valgum, and when this angle decreases, it causes genu varum. So here we can see the Q angle, that is the line, first line is from anterior superior leg spine up to the midpoint of patella, and other line is from center of patella up to the tibial tuberosity. The angle between these two intersecting lines is the Q angle. So here we can see the normal, the genu valgus and the genu valgus. In the genu valgus, the angle is increased and the knees are towards the midline, the knees are knocked, and in the genu vargus, VAR, the knees are very widely apart. This is the bow legness. This is genu valgum again and genu varum. Then the injuries to the meniscus. So these are the tears in the meniscus. This is mainly because of the forceful medial rotation or lateral rotation of the knee during accident or due to in football players. This is the tearing of the menisci. Then injuries to the cruciate ligaments, that is the cruciate, anterior cruciate and posterior cruciate ligament. These injuries also occurring in the football players. Then injuries to the collateral ligaments. It may be due to accidental injury or mainly in the players. Then there is a term known as unhappy triad. Triad means three things are happening in this knee. So in this injury there is sprain in the medial collateral ligament, anterior cruciate ligament and damage to the medial meniscus. So three things are injury to the medial collateral ligament, damage to the medial meniscus and anterior cruciate ligament. These three structures are worn out, torn due to lateral blow on the knee joint when the foot is flexed. This is known as unhappy triad. So this completes our topic, the knee joint. Now we discuss the questions which are important for examination point of view. In this we have write in detail about the knee joint under the following headings. The headings are type and articulating surfaces. So similar we have discussed the hip joint, you have to discuss about the type and the articular surfaces, that the bones which are participating in the formation of the knee joint, various ligaments which are responsible for the stability of the joint, and what are the movements which are occurring at this joint, and related clinical anatomy. Approximately 5 clinical aspects you have to mention in your exams for good marks. Then this is the exercise in which this is the unlabeled diagram. You have to draw this diagram in your files first and then label all these structures which are depicted over here. This is the exercise in your file. So this completes your topic, the knee joint. Thank you.